And I hollered out with such an intensity, whoever they say you are, whoever they say you are, take me out this life now, 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 or show me a better way.
Everyone's life tells a story. These are the stories of ordinary people.
From alcohol, and I can share that I went from alcohol to marijuana, from marijuana to sniffing cocaine to smoking crack, right? Alcohol was always in there. Stealing cigarettes from my mom, pretending that I'm smoking and drinking like they do. So I understand now when they talk about progression, with one drug can lead to another, you know what I mean? So, but ultimately what brought me down was crack cocaine. My best friend, her boyfriend / husband was a drug dealer. And my best friend, she drank alcohol. She didn't smoke crack, but she snorted cocaine. And he smoked crack. So he wanted a get high person. And so I began to go over there after work and on weekends because he would say, call Eddie because I want to smoke some crack. So in the beginning, I was getting it for free. And then I began feeling what that rush was like, feeling what that high was like. And it was a feeling that I can't really describe. It's like it's like jumping in some cold water and you, like that. So it was like, and that feeling is what I try to recapture every time that I would smoke crack, and it would last for that moment, and then I found myself chasing it. So crack was given to me in the beginning for free. Once he got locked up, then I was like, I need some. Oh, I gotta go buy some. I need to get that. And so I start purchasing myself. Then I start to learn how to cook it. I would get my friends and invite them, and we would get high together. And eventually, I was addicted before I even knew it. I noticed that I wasn't taking care of myself. My hygiene started to fall. I wasn't showing up for work, and I made the excuse that I'm okay. I'm just going through a little something, because with the smoking of the crack cocaine, what I thought was an hour wound up being 6, 7, 9, 10 hours, right? Of trying to recapture that first, like I described, hitting that cold water. And so it became a chase. So it appeared that a slow progression was happening. And then when I had smoked crack cocaine, I needed to come down, particularly if I didn't have any more. It was all gone. And alcohol became the antidote to come down off of crack. And to the point where alcohol, regular alcohol was suitable, but then I would start drinking NyQuil. I would start drinking things with alcohol in it, vanilla extract, just to come down. And not knowing the progression had been taking place slowly but surely. Being a part of that world and that lifestyle and being around other drug dealers, the ugly side of addiction came out. The prostitution, the rapes, the setups, setting people up, the deceiving, conniving, stealing. Yeah, so it became like I became like a monster, like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. When I wasn't on it, you would think I was the nicest person in the world. But once that thing got up in me, it didn't matter who you was. It didn't matter what you looked like. It didn't matter what you didn't want to do. Listen. And so while under the influence, I did any and everything to get it. It didn't matter what I had to do. And then after it was all said and done, I felt guilty. I felt ashamed. I hated myself. I loathed myself. And to not feel that, I would get high again. What helped my addiction spiral down is when I was working in the entertainment field, and I had left and I was on my own, and to make ends meet, I started prostituting again. Quote unquote, with friends, people that I don't care what you call it. You want this, I want that. So for me, going back to my childhood, exchanging one for another, that's what it was called. And I got pregnant by an individual, and I didn't want to acknowledge who the father was. And I made a decision to have an abortion. And that turned my world upside down. I had to get high. I had to stay high, because every time I thought about what I did, I could not deal with the guilt or the feelings. And that's what made my addiction spiral down until I got into recovery. It took me 10 years to forgive myself, and that's only when I got into recovery. And so the last time that I did any mood altering drugs or engaged in any kind of behavior was meeting my husband, Paul Bell. That was a trick. I was a prostitute, and he said he saw a diamond in the rough, and he wanted to help me for some reason. But as much as I thought I wanted help, there was a part of me that I didn't believe I deserved help. That because I took that child, that I was going to have to pay for that for the rest of my life. So there was a part of me that didn't feel deserving of anybody's love, let alone God's love, let alone his forgiveness, right? So in hindsight, I didn't think that I was worthy. I was getting high with his son. Not only was I getting high with his son, I was doing sexual favors with his son. His son and I were the same age. Paul was 25 years older than me. Paul didn't believe his son was getting high. But every time he would leave home, his son would come and we do our thing. And so it was on February the 22nd of 1990 that his son came to get me in my car. And we went and got what we needed, and we parked the car somewhere over by LaSalle College in Philly. We smoked our crack, we drank, and we did whatever sexual favors he wanted me to do. And when everything was said and done, he said to me, I said, well, can you take me home now? He said, I ain't taking you home. I'm going to call my dad and tell him what kind of bitch you are and what you've been doing. And that for some reason hit me the wrong way, and I snatched the keys out the car. He grabbed me. I got out the car. He grabbed me again, punched me. Then I started running with the keys, because I said, if you ain't taking me home, you ain't going home. And as I was running, and I believe for my life, because I knew what it was when people transform. I know what happens. And I thought I was running for my life. And when I saw on the streets of Mount Airy, Philadelphia, a number of parked cars, when I saw the bottom of one car, I got a flashback from my childhood. And that reminded me of going underneath the bed as a child when I was afraid. And I said, if I get underneath that car, he can't get to me. I only weighed 90 pounds, right? Sunken in, right? And so if I get underneath that car, he can't get to me. And that's when this God that I didn't know heard about. After my life flashed before me, the rapes, the beat-ups, the suicide attempts, the setting people up, the STDs, how at age 34, wanting to be a model, wanting to be a phys ed teacher, was the vice president of my class, was the co-captain of the cheerleader team. How did I get underneath this car at age 34? What's wrong with me? I kept saying, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And underneath that parked car, I'm telling you, my life just flashed before me, and I hollered out to this God that I didn't know. I heard about him, but from what I was told as a child, God was a punishing God. You do bad things, God was going to get you. So I learned that as a child, Edwina, you're bad, you're fresh, you're promiscuous, you're this, you're that. So I didn't have a concept of a loving and caring God. He was a punishing God. And then I took that child, so I know God don't love me. I know he don't love me. And so underneath that parked car, I know that I did not want to live one more second of this vicious cycle. And I hollered out with such an intensity, whoever they say you are, take me out this life now, or show me a better way. Take me out now or show me a better way. And I haven't looked back since. And that was 31 years ago. And when the cops came and edged me, could you imagine the cop getting on the ground and say, ma'am, can you get from underneath the car? But, and I got up from underneath that car. He said, what do you want to do? I said, take me home to my husband. And when I got to my husband's apartment, he already found out what I had done and what happened by his son. And as much as I heard my husband say this, I heard it differently this time. He said, Edwina, what are you going to do? And I heard the word you. Before, I did it for my children. I did it for him. I did it for that. Going in and out of rehabs, thinking I'm getting myself together. I did it for everything and everybody but for me. And I heard the word you. What are you going to do about your life? And that's when I got up from the couch, called the hotline, and I told that woman, I said, ma'am, I know I need help. I said, but I want help. I want help. I want help. And so I came into recovery with my hands up. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. Wherever you tell me to go, I'm going to go. And not like this, like total surrender. Total surrender. Lead me, show me, teach me. Put me on that pathway to recovery. I learned that this Creator chose me. I learned that for me to think that I was the scum of the earth, that through these spiritual steps, that He chose me. And when I realized He chose me, that made me want to choose Him. And when I set my eyes on choosing Him and Him alone, that I would learn not to give anything or anybody that much power ever again to put me back underneath that car. And so when my spirituality helped me to say that I needed a shepherd, or I needed a covenant, I needed a church home, guess what? I interviewed the pastors. I didn't let them interview me. I interviewed them because I want to know what's in your closet. I want to know what you did. And it was the one that God allowed me to select. And I'm going to say his name, Dr. Christopher Allen Bullock of Canaan Baptist Church in Newcastle, Delaware. So, as a result of being in this process, I have a TV talk show called Choosing a New Way of Life that talks about addiction and recovery. I went back to school and got my master's degree. I wrote a training manual for the Employee Assistance Program on addiction and recovery. I'm in the process of obtaining my doctorate degree in biblical studies just to learn more about the God who chose me. I am an actress on stage, and I play roles of addiction and recovery. I have my journal that I originally called From Crack to Christ, that talks about what it's like to transition from recovery and from addiction to recovery. My son's a doctor of 10 years. He works with boys who was teased like he was as a child. Your mom's a prostitute. She's a skeezer. He can work anywhere in the world with his doctor of education, but he works with those individuals. My daughter has her own construction company, works for the L&I department, right? But her main project is helping teenage girls who was used for sex trafficking, because I almost sold my daughter for drugs and my addiction. So we go around collectively as a family to talk about the disease of addiction, alcoholism, but restoration through Jesus Christ. I can honestly say I have no regrets. I have no regrets. What I have is a lifetime of experiences that I'm learning from, even until today.
Edwina Bell lived in bondage to the addiction of crack and alcohol for over 10 years. She cried out to God to help her when she reached her very bottom. God answered her cry, and she has not looked back since. What in your life has left you in bondage? I'm Leslie Nkansabewa. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. If you would like to share your story, please send us an email to justordinarypeopletv@gmail.com. Again, that's justordinarypeopletv@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Please share, subscribe, or comment below.